I don't know. After hearing him calm and talking about the tether story, it's probable.
Go down to the county. I think you'll find a lot of humans down there.
All right.
No disrespect.
Stop driving.
I'm flirting with the judge in front of my dad.
What's going on? This is Colin. How's everyone doing? Happy Friday night. Is it Friday? It is Friday. It's still Black Friday. I'm losing my mind. Anyways, happy Friday. I've got a good one. If anyone's a friend or a fan of Tommy's channel, you've already seen this. I told him I'd wait a little bit to put this out since he put it out before me. Because I'm not monetized, I wanted him to get the clicks before I did. But it's a good one. This is a good one. This guy just doesn't know when to stop talking. Judge Elmore handles business. He doesn't take disrespect. All right, before I get into it, you already know what to do. Like and subscribe, do your jump kick backflips, and my link tree is in the description. If you would like to donate, I would very much appreciate it, and I would call you out. Speaking of which, I got one at the very end of my last stream. Let me see. I wrote their name down. Peggy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it and the kind words. All right. You guys want to watch some cord? Before I hit play, let me say hi to the people that came to chat early. Heather, my love, I love you. See, Phil, you're a legend. Hey Jay, who else we got? We got Beach Bomb, Lane, of course Lane's here. All right, let's go.
He's not starting his video when I ask.
Read the instructions on the Zoom page.
He has audio now.
All right. We need your video turned on as well. Upper right-hand part of your screen, little blue box with 3 white dots. There we go.
Hey, Sallyport, are you here? If anyone sees Sallyport's name come up and you don't see me recognize them, please say Sallyport's here. I've got something I want to say to her when they get here.
All right, folks, good morning. We're on the record for the 28th Circuit Court for Wexford County, and we're taking up the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Matthew Johnston. This is file 20-12743-FH. Appearances, please.
Corey Wiggins on behalf of the people.
I'm Jeff Pearson. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Johnston.
Mr. Johnston joins us today via Zoom from someplace in the world today. Also here in the court is Lindsay Simmons from the Michigan Department of Corrections. We are here today for a formal hearing on a probation violation. There is a request and summons in the file dated October 6th and filed on October 9th. And is this the one just alleging one single count about not making payments?
Yes, Your Honor, that's my understanding.
All right. What are we doing today, Mr. Harrison?
I believe it would be appropriate to conduct a brief hearing, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would call Agent Simmons at the scene.
Raise your right hand. Ma'am, do you swear or affirm that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
May I have a seat? By the way, I'm watching a show on Netflix called Bodies, where they find these bodies and they've got a tattoo on the arm, looks just like yours.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be listening today with some very interesting steps because you might be the killer.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Wiggins.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Lindsay Simmons, LINDSAYSIMMON.
And are you employed at the Michigan Department of Corrections as a probation parole officer?
I am.
And is your office currently supervising Mr. Matthew Johnston?
We are.
To be fair, are you his supervising agent or are you just covering for that agent today?
I am not his supervising agent. Agent Sean Van Appel is.
Okay. Are you aware of whether or not, as part of his probation, was required to pay court fines and court costs?
That is correct.
Do you know what those total costs were?
$1,098.
And to date, are you aware of whether or not any payments have been made towards those fines and costs?
It is my understanding that he has not made any payment.
All right. And are you aware of whether or not Agent Van Appel and Mr. Johnston had any conversations about Mr. Johnson having employment during his term of probation?
Objection, hearsay. I know the stance of the
Overruled.
court.
Go ahead and continue.
In my review of the notes, from Agent Van Appel's notes, yes, he did instruct Mr. Johnston to make payments.
Are you aware whether or not he was employed?
Yes, and specifically, in May, he reported he was working as a roofer. In June, he was working with Hammer Construction. In July, he was working as a drywaller. In September, he reported he was working as a subcontractor, earning $17 to $20 per hour.
And that was, those dates you gave us, that was this year?
Correct, 2023.
And those are coming from Agent Van Appel's notes?
Correct.
Are you aware of whether or not there was any conversation?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to Sally. Hopefully she jumps over here too. Hi, Mama Jama. How are you? Yeah, it was. He's riled up, and rightfully so. And I understand that he's angry, but he's taking it out on people. And I've messaged him privately. Before I left, I think he was calming down a little bit, but he's very angry and he's taking it out on his chat, and that's not good. So hopefully he calms down. Hopefully Sally Port is okay, because she's a friend of all of us, right? She comes to my channel and she's on all the core channels. And that's why I want to be able to, you know, just send her a message. But I don't know her. I can't do that.
About him needing to pay?
Yes, per the notes, Mr. Agent Van Appel did instruct him that he needed to make payments on court costs.
Do you know when that was?
I want to say it was specifically in September was the most recent one that I had reviewed. That was just prior to the show cause being filed on October 6th.
And I know I asked a question, I'll ask it a little bit differently. Since September, that last conversation, are you aware whether any payments have been made?
I do not believe that any payments have been made now.
And to your knowledge, have you seen Mr. Johnston before?
I have.
Do you see him today?
I do. He's on the Zoom video screen.
All right. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Harrison.
I assume from your answer to that last question that you are firmly convinced that it's the same Matthew Robert Johnston that is your probationer?
I am convinced that is Matthew Robert Johnston, but he is not my probationer.
I understand your office is probationer. Mr. Bennett is his agent.
Correct.
Do your records indicate that he was placed on probation in September of 2021?
September, or was it August?
Our records indicate he was placed on 3 years of probation on.
Biggin, what's up, bud? Biggin is going live here in about 10 minutes. Biggin, I'm sorry. This is the time that I had available to shoot this video out. I will be redirecting to you after. So, we're rating you after this. But I hope you have a good stream.
August 6th of 2021.
August 6th rather than September. My
Yes.
apologies. So that would have been through August 6th of 2024, for the
Yes.
3 years to have run.
Yes,
So it hasn't yet completed.
correct.
Okay. And was there any set payment plan for him to make? Or was it your understanding he would have his fines and costs paid by the end of probation?
When someone is sentenced on probation, our system divides the number of years that they were sentenced into the money that they owe. And per their probation conditions, we have a breakdown of if they paid X number of dollars, they could have it paid in full in that amount of time.
Okay.
So his probation orders went over with him And the total amount, if he would have paid $31 a month, he could theoretically have had that paid in full. And he was aware of that amount.
Is that a stated condition of compliance, or is that just a suggestion to make it easier for him to pay it off?
That's a suggestion on the probation orders.
So his failure to make the regular payments would not constitute a violation.
When he's instructed by his agent
Okay.
to make payments.
So
Which he-
the violation that you're speaking of is failure to follow the written orders of the agent.
And verbal orders.
Verbal orders,
Yes.
okay. And that's one of the numbered conditions in Mr. Johnson's probation.
Correct.
Okay. Just by any chance, this was arising out of a conviction for operating while intoxicated is a third offense. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. And the judgment date or the conviction date would match that August 6th of 2021 date as well, would it not?
The conviction date would have been,
It was sometime before that.
the conviction date would have been June 18th of
Okay.
2021.
No.
And do your records indicate whether that was by a jury conviction or by a plea?
I believe that was by a plea
Okay.
based on our records.
That's your understanding? at
Yes.
any rate. Okay, that's fair enough. That's all I can ask you for. Thank you. No further questions.
My phone does that. When I watch on my phone, well, no, it's the top chat that doesn't show up. I only have live chat when I watch on my phone. But it's weird. It's weird.
The court will just take judicial notice that the judgment of sentence is dated August 6th of 2021. And toward the bottom, underneath the fines and costs, it says that fines and costs not paid within 56 days of the due date are subject to a 20% late penalty on the amount owed. And that if the person is not able to pay due to financial hardship, they are to contact the court immediately to request a plan. That is also appears on the probation order signed by the judge on August 12th of 2021.
May I approach the witness? Your
You
Honor?
may, thank you.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 1. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes,
And can you tell us what that is?
this is an order of probation for Matthew Johnston.
Does that appear to be an accurate copy of the probation order?
Who was the troll? I didn't even notice the troll was here.
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, I would move permission of People's Exhibit number 1.
Mr. Harrison, any objection?
Without objection, the witness is properly identified.
People's Exhibit 1 is hereby admitted. You may continue.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to turn to the second page, and at the very top, or towards the top, is there a monthly amount set ordered by the court to be paid?
Yes,
And what is that amount?
$31 per month,
Okay, and does it indicate when payment is to begin?
starting on September 2021.
And was that order signed by the judge?
It was.
Acknowledged, as Judge Elmore said, by the defendant as well.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Harrison?
I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. May I have People's Exhibit 1? Thank you. I have received People's Exhibit 1. Thank you. You may take your seat. Thank you, ma'am.
No further proofs, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Harris?
I have no proofs today, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Wiggins, any argument?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe that a probation violation has occurred here for the failure to make payments as ordered by the court and is instructed by the probation officer. Judge Fagerman, during his order, had ordered that there be a monthly payment of $31 a month. That wasn't followed. We do know that for at least part of this period, the defendant was employed, making anywhere between $17 to $20 an hour. And again, no payments were made. So I'd ask the court to find a violation occurs.
Mr. Harrison?
Well, Your Honor, it seems to me there's a couple of things going on here.
Go ahead.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Hold on.
Were you telling me to go ahead, Your Honor?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Perhaps-
but what?
Perhaps I should,
Let's take a brief recess to allow Mr. Harrison to dial into Zoom. And we'll put the two of them into a breakout room so that way he may speak with Mr. Johnston. And then we'll allow the defense to continue.
I may, it's somewhat premature at this time, but I'm gonna tee up a request to open proofs.
So I figured we'll go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll most likely allow that. Go ahead and take some time and we'll take a brief recess. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, just stay right there and Mr. Harrison will go into another room. He'll dial into the Zoom. And then we'll put the two of you into a private breakout room online and allow you to have a conversation with your attorney. So
Okay.
please be, thank you, sir.
716.
You know better.
All right, I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, they put him in a breakout room, and I didn't fast forward this. Is that what's going on? Oh, there. Here we go. Now I'm fast forwarding it. I'm so good at technology.
Thank you for
right?
the opportunity to enter proofs here today, Your Honor.
All right,
We would call,
Oh, it's all right. We're back on the record. The parties present when the court recessed are again present. Mr. Harrison tells me that he would like to reopen proofs and allow Mr. Johnston to make or provide some form of testimony. The court will allow the reopening of proofs. Mr. Johnston, please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir?
Yes, I do.
You may lower your hand. Thank you. Mr. Harrison, your witness.
Mr. Johnson, you were present, Johnston, rather, I'm sorry. Were you present when the probation agent testified?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you heard her say that there was an order that you pay a certain amount each month.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard
Okay.
you say that. I was
Were you
aware
aware?
of that. No, I was
Okay.
not. I did sign
Why
a
were you-
wage agreement, and I have
Just let me ask the
since
question,
had
okay, Matt?
2 people tried to come and pay the fine in total. Both times, they either accepted the money and tried to apply it to how they didn't apply it to my fine.
Okay, you mentioned, are you also on probation in Grand Traverse County?
I am only on probation in Grand Traverse County, but through you guys, I had my probation transferred to Grand Traverse County. It is
Okay.
the same case. It is from 2018. It is not 2 cases since then, and everybody's paperwork is getting pretty hectic. However, every month I have reported to Damon Herman here in Traverse City, I successfully completed my alcohol tether, which was during the time in question here I was on alcohol tether. It was strapped to my leg. I was at work in a Myers deli, and my Damon Herman called me to report to his office immediately.
Okay, let's slow down a minute, okay?
I took a breathalyzer test that day in question and signed a paper So he has it there in Grand Traverse. So
Is it
I
your
really,
testimony that you have been reporting regularly to the Mr. Herman in Traverse City?
absolutely every month without fail or violation. And I wasn't trying to make it a conflict at all. I just wanted the this fine to be attached to my, apply it to my credit or something, get it paid when I do my taxes. Either way, I'd rather pay it in full. I've been doing construction, demolition, everything, landscaping, building houses, being successful, saving people's lives, basically helping people get the treatment, the help they need. I worked all the way
Okay.
through COVID. I worked for Ohana. I completed Harbor Hall, Petoskey treatment. While I've been on this probation, before I actually went and did my jail when I was still, and then I
Okay,
went and did my
just
time.
Then
I
it's all right.
started.
I've already stopped paying attention. There's no question. This is just a narrative. This is
That's
not an
right.
opportunity. Mr. Johnson, this is not an opportunity for you to ramble. This is how
Yes,
it works
I'm
in the
trying
court.
to. I've had two people to try come in to pay this, Your Honor. I've tried to come in and pay this in person, and they did not accept the money in Traverse City because I signed a wage garnishment with you guys when I transferred my probation. The only thing here is I just need to come and pay you guys. I can pay you today. I can go into the clerk. I have $60 on me today. I can make a
Time
payment.
out. We're gonna take a brief recess. Mr. Harrison's gonna talk to his client, get his client to behave, or I'll lock him up for contempt. Stop talking.
Okay.
let me ask the questions, Matt. You're talking over me and you're talking over the judge. It's hard to even, it's impossible to pay attention on Zoom, okay? When two people are talking at once. I want to ask you a couple of questions and try to answer them as succinctly as possible, with as few words as possible, okay?
Sure.
Okay, I'll try to follow up as appropriate. I think we can proceed now.
We are ready. Thanks.
Well, this is going well,
All
isn't
right.
it?
Thank you. You may be seated. Sorry. We are back on the record for the 28th Circuit Court.
Look
and
at
we're
that sweet
recalling the
editing
case
right
of
there.
People versus Matthew Johnston.
Every once in a while, I get it
We are
right.
going to conduct this as a hearing, which is what it is. That means the attorney asks the defendant questions. The defendant answers the question that was asked. The defendant does not get to make a speech. The defendant does not get to negotiate with the court and make offers on how to resolve this. He will answer the questions asked. If he starts rambling again, I'll get up and we'll take another break. Mr. Harrison, we're turning back to the defense. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Johnston, did you meet with an agent named Sean Van Atmel in September?
I believe September. I believe he
Or
met with.
ever?
Yes, I've met with Sean. Yes, I have met with Sean. My probation officer Damon told me Sean was the probation officer in Wexford that was overseeing
Okay.
my stuff, and he was the supervisor. That Damon was the supervisor of my
Okay,
probation.
I understand that, but you said you met with Mr. Van Atmel in September, correct? Or thereabouts. If you don't recall the date, that's fine. Is that correct?
I don't believe I met with him. I believe I spoke with him.
Okay. You spoke with him perhaps on the telephone?
Yes.
Do you recall Mr. Van Atmel instructing you to make payments on your fines and costs in this case?
No, I do not. I
Okay,
recall my probation officer, Damon Herman, telling me to
okay,
make.
we've talked about that. But my question is specific to Mr. Van Atmel. Do you remember him telling you that you have to make payments on this $1,098 that's owed?
Last week at my court hearing, yes, I do.
Your arraignment on this matter, you recall that? Is that what you're talking
Yes.
about?
Yes, that's
Okay.
when I recall Sean saying to arrange payments and Yep.
Okay. But you were previously unaware that there was a monthly amount that you were obligated to pay. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, thank you. I have no further proofs, Your Honor.
Mr. Wiggins,
I have no questions there.
thank you. All right.
Hey, Royal, I appreciate it.
Mr. Wiggins, we'll reopen it.
I'll rest on, rely on my last one.
Mr. Harrison?
Well, Your Honor, it seems to me there's genuine confusion on the part of Mr. Johnston with regard to who his actual probation agent is. I'm not sure why. I don't know, and I didn't hear any testimony, so I apologize as to whether his probation was formally transferred to Grand Traverse or if he's simply confused about there being two cases instead of one. I do know in the past, Mr. Johnston has maintained that he is not the person who committed this crime in Wexford County. I
sorry,
suppose,
what was that?
Pardon me?
Repeat that last part?
He has maintained that he is not the person that committed this crime in Wexford County. And I don't know why that is, and I was not his counsel in the first one. But it seems to me he's genuinely confused about a couple of things here, Your Honor. Thank you.
I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that last comment. There's been absolutely no proof that this is not the Mr. Johnston, and we've had multiple weeks to take care of that question. The court therefore assumes this is the Matthew Johnston who it somehow even acknowledges that his probation was transferred. For his probation to have been transferred, he would have had to have been on probation for this county, which means he would have to be the Matthew Johnston. I'm just absolutely lost. I don't think Mr. Johnston's confused. I think Mr. Johnston's confusing everyone. But I have a piece of paper here that, by the way, the court takes judicial notice because it's in the file, and the copy that's been provided by the prosecutor, People's Exhibit Number 1, was admitted without objection, which says Mr. Johnston on August 28th, 2021, signed a piece of paper that says and ordered him to pay $31 a month toward his fines and costs. And the fines and costs and fees not paid within 56 days of the date owed or any installment payment date are subject to a 20% late fee. The court will assert the 20% late fee, and Mr. Johnston's fines and costs have just gone up by 20%. Now, the next question here is, what does the court do with the defendant? I find him guilty of violating his terms or conditions of probation as alleged on the request and summons. Now we turn to what does the court do with the sentence? So I've already started to talk about adding the 20%, which the court will do. But let's see if we have any other argument. Ms. Simmons, do you have a recommendation?
Initial thought, he made a statement that he's able to pay.
Yeah, it's clear he can pay. It's clear he can pay.
So my thought is that he would need to make a payment by, say, 4 o'clock today, and if not,
See, here's the problem.
jail time.
Yep, and here's the problem with that position. And this is where he needs to be advised of what's going on. I cannot, nor will I, barter. In other words, I can't say, make a payment or you go to jail. I can't do it. He's already missed the opportunity. He hasn't made the payment. This court will no longer, stop talking, Mr. Johnson, because you don't do yourselves any favors. So the answer to that comment is, I can't, he still owes the payment.
Right.
The question here is do I lock him up? Let's just be fair. The question is do I put him in jail for 15 days? Go ahead, man.
Yes, please.
There we go. Mr. Wiggins,
I would request that as well, Your
Mr. Harrison.
Well, obviously, I'm gonna argue against that, Your Honor. The only way he's gonna be able to make payment on this is if he's working, and he can't do that while he's in jail.
He's had the opportunity to work for 3 years.
I've been
Mr.
trying to
Johnson?
pay. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Johnson, hold on. You now have the right to make a statement before the court issues a sentence. Is there
Okay.
anything you wish to say, sir?
Yes, there is, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been reporting like normal to my officer, Damon Herman. I'm at work right now. I do not like to use the phone video stuff. I don't ever do that. I like to come in person. I go into his office. I've had two of my guys tried to go in there and that I've worked for and pay my fine off completely, and they wouldn't accept the money because I owe it to you guys. So I was trying to figure out how to do it through him by going through Sean with the payment plan to accept the payments through him. I tried to pay this off completely in full twice in the last month. And I have a bunch of people who know that and that are actually working with me. And I've been sober. I've been doing all my good stuff. I've been sticking with my network. I helped my mother's was at home hurt with her hip and knee replacement that whole time. I was out of work that whole time. But I did 3 extra months of my alcohol tether just to show them that I'm not going back to my old ways, and I'm a man of my word, and I'm damn sure would walk into the office and pay today, right now, if they will accept my money to go against that fine. Literally.
You know what's funny? Heather, my beautiful girlfriend, who doesn't really watch court, that's her statement right there. It's been 3 years. That's her statement. She understands this, and she doesn't pay attention to court. She's here to hang out and support me and talk and chat, and she understands how this guy fucked up. Just saying. Just saying.
This is for a DUI. My probation. I have completed everything I need to do other than pay my reinstatement fee to get my license back. Also, so that I can drive myself, Your Honor, and I haven't been able to like walk there at all. And all my work that I do has been in Traverse City. I work in Traverse City. I've helped other than Buckley, where my mom and my stepdad live. I'm not trying to get over on the court in any mannerism. And I know that Damon Herman, my probation officer here in Traverse City, I know that he knows that. So I am just at a loss for words that he is not here with us today, Your Honor. Because he also knows that I'm not trying to do wrong by any means.
All right, thank you. If I owe the power company money, I don't send my spouse to Meyer to pay. In other words, you are sending other people to the wrong place to make a payment. No wonder they won't accept it, because the wrong people are trying to make the payment, allegedly, to the wrong people.
Okay. Where did they need to go, Your Honor?
That's okay. Let's just stop talking.
Yeah, she's way out of my league. I definitely batting way above my batting average right now. And Heather, that's not what I meant. But thank you for making me feel bad. But I know what you're saying.
Mr. Johnson, your opportunity to talk is now concluded. The answer to this question is very, very simple. You owe the court $1,098 plus 20%. And the next question here is what does the court do with you? Do I send you to jail for 15 days? Now, Mr. Harrison has argued that if I put you in jail, then you are not earning the money to pay the bills. Well, you have been earning the money for years and have not paid the bills. I do appreciate that you have done the other things that you're supposed to have done. However, if you are required to do 10 things and you only do 9 of them, you're still guilty of not doing the 10th. And you have had 2 years to pay this bill. It's your responsibility to pay the bill. It's your responsibility to come to the clerk and pay the bill. You have not paid the bill. So,
Your Honor, I was just in there last week and I did get paperwork from the clerk and she gave me $84. The only record that she had for me, Your Honor, was an $84 thing from 2004, and I was trying to write it last week also, Your Honor. I had taken time off work and got a ride down there.
one moment. Did
My
you
mom
come
actually.
to, okay, did you come to the courthouse in Cadillac?
Yes, I did last week, Your Honor, with my mother.
All right. Now, if you had a bill from 2004, and this case began in 2020 and was resolved in 2021, that tells me you did not go to the clerk for my court. You went to some other court. One moment, just a second. You have a bill, according to the clerk, in district court that you apparently have not paid from 2004. You owe the circuit court, which is in an entirely different part of the building, $1,098. You went to a different court. You went to the wrong place.
Okay.
So you keep doing the wrong thing. So now the question that I have is, what sentence do I issue? The court preserves fines and costs. His period of probation is to end when? I think it's 2024.
Correct.
So he had a 36-month period of probation.
August 6th of 2024.
Okay. So now the question is do I lock him up in jail, or do I do something like extend his probation, which, by the way, increases the amount of supervision fees, which means you pay the county more money.
Okay.
So now I have to decide, do I extend your probation or do I lock you up? Now, public policy is not to lock somebody up for failing to pay their fines and costs unless you are able to do so and choose not to do so. It is clear to the court that I have the ability to pay and have chosen not to do so. So, and the court, and I've let this kind of go today, I haven't addressed it. I do not understand why you are not here in the courtroom today. I did not agree to appear via Zoom, and this is an evidentiary hearing, which I require people to be in court, which means you are in the wrong place yet again. So
appeal. I was
The
told to
court-
appear by Zoom, Your Honor.
You have an answer for everything, and it's to blame everybody else for all your bad choices. And it is tiring to the court. So, here we go.
Your Honor, that is not my answer. I blame myself for my fines.
All right, that's all right. So, the court again preserves fines and costs. The court will order that they are due, and the court will assess the 20% the 20% penalty for failing to pay on time. As for a period of confinement, what days of the week do you work, sir?
Every day I can currently, Your Honor. I am currently recovering my identity and staying in a tent, and I did have my did have my mother bring me there, but typically 5 days a week. But lately it's been hit and miss. We've been running out of people that want to keep going to work, Your Honor, that want to keep working and doing the hard things that we don't want to do. And
Right.
and staying good and clean and sober so that we can keep getting building and construction and stuff done. And it's just been a struggle. Yep. My foreman here, my fellow contractors.
Would anyone else laugh right now if his own defense attorney said objection relevance? I think that's ingrained in my head after the series that I just concluded this morning. Objection relevance. His defense attorney needs to say it. He's not asking about your construction woes.
Also, and I agree with you. Also, I am just very frustrated because I have tried to go to several different places to take care of this and completely, and it's just the circuit court clerk, Your Honor, that I need to
Yep.
speak with to pay my fine. Okay,
Yep.
I can actually request one of these guys. I can talk to him and see if I can't get a ride down there and pay it in full within a short period here, actually, Your Honor. I could talk to one of them when I get off the phone now and ask if they're willing to do that. I had thought that my probation officer, Damon, would be here with us today to confirm these things.
All right, so it's okay. Again, let me try to regain control of this crazy train. Okay. Mr.
Judge
Harrison,
just called this a crazy train.
as I've
That's
mentioned,
not
the
a good
court
sign.
has an ethical quandary because it looks like, and the court does not want to look like it is bargaining with the defendant. And if he pays, he doesn't go to jail. If he doesn't pay, he goes to jail. And I don't like that. Obviously, the objective here is to get the defendant to pay. I've got two things I now see that I can do. The court will adjourn sentencing and set it for sentencing in 1 week. The court will retract its statements that began to set a sentence. Mr. Harrison, I presume you know what you need to talk to your client about doing.
Indeed, Your Honor.
All right, I'm trying to be, if you have any objection to my approach, let me know. Any objection?
None
to my approach?
whatsoever, Your Honor. I believe it to be a practical solution.
I'm not trying at all to threaten a person with jail if they don't pay.
Clearly understood.
But because you have used the word confusion, and it's very clear today to the court that Mr. Johnston is greatly confused, we're going to allow you the opportunity to put him in an unconfused state. Mr. Johnson, you'll talk to your client. We'll set the matter for sentencing next week. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
You may. Thank you, Mr.
All right. That was fun, wasn't it? I got a little surprise for every single person that's watching, all 219 of you. Hopefully all of you hit the like button already, but I've got a little gift for you. That hearing was about a week and a half ago. His follow-up happened 2 days ago, and we're about to watch it. Who thinks he paid to stay out of jail? Anybody? You guys ready for the follow-up? Oh boy, let's go. Also,
Hello?
another update. Dude still
One
doesn't
moment.
show up in court. He
One
still
moment.
Yes,
zooms
sir.
in.
Yes.
Eunice.
Who thinks he has the same hat on? Anybody? Anybody? That's the reasonable
We are on
thing.
the record this morning for the 28th Circuit Court for Wexford County. I'm calling the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Matthew Robert Johnston. This is file 20-12743 FH. Appearances from counsel, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Corey Wiggins on behalf of the people.
And I'm Jeff Harrison. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Johnston.
Mr. Sean Benak is before the court as well. He is the agent from the Michigan Department of Corrections here today as the probation officer. Join us today via Zoom is Mr. Matthew Robert Johnston. Mr. Johnston, can you see and hear the court, sir?
Yes, I can, Your Honor.
One moment. If I look here, I'm sorry, when I look here at the proof of service for the notice of appearance, does say that counsel and defendant must be present. Why is Mr. Johnston not here in person today, Mr. Harrison?
I am not at all certain. I do know that he does not have a driver's license, and this is part of the reason why Grand Traverse County agreed to accept his courtesy supervision was a barrier for him as far as reporting to Wexford County in the past. I don't believe his situation has changed. I don't believe he has full-time employment either. He seems to steadily work, but it's sporadically and mostly for cash. He may not simply have the resources, Your Honor. I'm unaware.
All right, so he just doesn't have the resources to be present. All right, well, if I recall correctly, the defendant has been found guilty of failing to pay his fines and costs. We conducted a hearing. That hearing was conducted.
I was able to make a payment last night to the proper clerk, finally.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. That hearing was.
I met with
Stop.
my probation. Oh, okay.
We're not going to do this again, Mr. Johnson. It's really getting irritating. This works very simply. You are not here in the courtroom. You are appearing via Zoom. When one person is talking, no one else is doing any talking. I conduct who's talking by pointing out when you get to speak.
I've lived in Ohio for 38 years. That is the first time I've ever heard of that city. Where are you closer? I'm gonna guess if I don't know the city in Ohio, the state that I live in, you're probably northeastern. Is what I'm gonna guess. Is it or somewhere eastern? Am I right? I've honestly never heard of that city. But thank you for coming by and shout out.
It is now my turn to speak. We're here today for a sentencing on the probation violation. If I recall correctly, the defendant again was found guilty of violating his terms or conditions of probation by failing to pay his fines and costs. We also had testimony and evidence demonstrating that the defendant is able to pay his fines and costs because he is employed. So we're now just going to proceed with sentencing. Mr. Van Ackle, your recommendation, sir.
I'm still, searching for a job. It's getting better, but no, everything's not good right now. But I still want to put out content and entertain everybody. So I'm still here, still trying my best, and I'm not going to stop. But thank you for asking.
Sentencing guideline range on this case is 10 to 23 months. Serving for OWI home. He did pay $30 for his fines and costs yesterday. He continues to owe $1,287.60. That includes the late fee. Added on, he has 118 days jail credit. On probation, he has completed scram without issue of violation. He has not completed any community service hours. On 11/8 of 23, he was instructed to obtain a mental health evaluation.
I have both of those copies of.
Stop talking, Mr. Johnston. We're done. Mr. Johnston, I'm gonna find you in contempt of court. I warned you last time and I warned you today. You're hereby found guilty in contempt. No, don't talk. Why can you not understand the instructions?
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Well, you wouldn't if you showed up today. I'll deal with the contempt in just a moment. Mr. Van Ackle, you may continue without Mr. Johnson speaking. If he speaks again, we will just mute him. Go ahead, Mr. Van Ackle.
On 11/8, he was instructed to obtain a mental health assessment or evaluation. He has not completed that yet. For sentencing on this violation, I would recommend a continuation of probation with the understanding that there would be additional violations if there's no follow through on the mental health assessment or community service or additional failure to pay for fines and costs.
What was the length of probation that he was originally set for? Was it 36?
$36 months.
36.
Was projected discharge date, I believe, would be 8/6 of 24.
So your recommendation is to continue probation as previously set, preserve the fines and costs. I understand the fact that the defendant has not conducted the mental health assessment and has not conducted any community service. You can't necessarily sentence him for those since he hasn't been found guilty of those. But of course, Mr. Johnston can hear that he must comply with that assessment and he must complete his community service. All right. And do you have any recommendation regarding confinement?
No recommendation regarding confinement, Judge. I'd just defer to the court for that.
Thank you.
Again, he does have 118 days credit.
What was his original sentence for days? What's that?
118.
Is that what it was, Mr. Wiggins?
That's what my notes reflect.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. Thank
Sallyport, I've been waiting all night for you to pop up. I really hope that you don't stop watching and supporting Demon. He's going through a lot right now. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to pause this. I wasn't ready. I was thinking about you when I started my video, and I actually gave you a shout out at the beginning of the video. I'm really sorry he said what he did. He's not thinking straight right now. He's angry because somebody attacked his girlfriend. And I understand that. But I want you to know that he has no ill will towards you. And I'm really sorry that he said what he did. No, like, he shouldn't have done that. I don't think he understood what you were saying. And I'm apologizing on his behalf. I know he already apologized to you, but Sally, I'm really sorry that happened on Demon's channel. Hopefully we can all, go to sleep tonight, get over it, and all be friends again tomorrow. Meaning you and him, because, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But since I haven't paused, thank you so much. I just got a super chat. Margarita, I don't know who you are in the chat. So if you're here, can you just say that was you? So I know the proper person to shout out. Because I'm not going to say your last name. But all right, let's go.
Thank you. One moment.
Thank you so much, Rita. That makes Margarita, Rita, that makes sense. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. And Sally, I'm glad you already forgot about it.
All right, one moment. Let's go ahead. All right, Mr. Wickens, on behalf of the people, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the court indicated, you found that he had the ability to pay and hadn't paid. We did set some time for him to pay, and if I recall correctly, from before, he was saying he could pay it all off, and we received a $30 payment. On top of that, he did not follow the court orders to be here today. I specifically remember the court telling him that he had to appear in person. I'm going to request that, along with Mr. Van Appel's recommendation, I'm going to request 15 days confinement.
If you're gonna use that line, you gotta say it the right way.
Mr. Harrison.
So hopefully you said it the right way.
I would like to put some perspective in play here. The perspective is, yes, it was only a $30 payment. I'm actually happy that he made that payment. Now, it wouldn't have been the dollar amount that he had insisted he could pay, or it certainly wasn't timely based on the violations. However, it represents, at least in my eyes, something that had been lacking up to then, that of recognition that the obligation is owed to this court. So it seems as though we've crossed what is frankly a rather significant hurdle in dealing with this entire situation. I have spoken to the probation agent in Grand Traverse County as well. He too is concerned with perhaps Mr. Johnston's state of mind and supported the recommendation, or the requirement that he obtain the mental health screening that was previously discussed. If the court assuredly will recall, there was a great deal of confusion expressed by Mr. Johnston in the initial couple of appearances in this matter. I'm actually encouraged by the fact that at least one of those issues is apparently resolved in his thinking, that he is now aware of and is at least making some, albeit minor, progress toward resolving the payment that had been lacking in the past. It's a standard kind of concern that I have, perhaps amplified more so in this case. Putting him in confinement and taking him away from whatever employment opportunities he has is be terribly counterproductive, not only to his ability
Have a good night,
to pay,
Tom.
but his sense of obligation in that regard as well. Thank you.
Mr. Johnston, now it is your opportunity to provide a statement. Is there anything you wish to say regarding sentencing, sir?
Just that I'm doing my best to make everything right, and I've met with my probation officer here in Traverse City. He's also to right this issue and to pay it off completely. I was unaware which clerk to contact, Your Honor. Once I got that straight, I made a payment immediately. But other than that, I apologize for any time spent on my behalf with this issue.
Yeah, we do. We do, Sally. And again, I stopped watching him because I had to come over here and, entertain everybody and not yell at my fans. I shouldn't have said that. But it was uncalled for, and I know he apologized. Hopefully he said something else after. But I'm friends with him. I just really hope that it's water under the bridge come tomorrow. All right, let's play the rest of this. And yeah, this guy's going to jail. Everyone knows this guy's going to jail.
Because I tried to clear this issue up the day I was released out of jail so it wouldn't present itself at all, Your Honor.
I'm not really sure what that means. If you were trying to clear this all up when you were released on jail so there wouldn't be any issues, you would have paid your fines and costs then. You would have known where to pay your fines and costs because it was only 5 blocks away from where you were released from jail. Mr. Johnston, all I've heard here are excuses upon excuses and how it's everyone else's fault other than your own. Now, ironically, there's one thing I don't know if the parties have picked up on. If I give the defendant 15 days, which would be a sentence of 133 days, he has 118 days of credit. What's the one thing he also gets?
Well, the good time would come off of that. He gets
Which
that
means-
back.
Which means he won't serve any.
I understand. That's
So
the dilemma.
it's Mr. Johnson, let's be real clear. This court does not buy much of anything you've had to say. Mr. Van Ackmel has highlighted that he can bring, and whether or not he chooses to do so is his own choice, additional probation violations for your failing to comply with your community service obligation and your assessments for mental health. Those are things he can bring. And if he does, the next time the court would be looking at up to 45 days. So I want to give this defendant the additional 15 days. The court sentences the defendant to 133 days of jail. That's the 118 plus 15.
Okay.
The court gives the defendant 118 days of credit. Now, the question here is does he actually turn himself in on that case? How does the jail establish the good conduct? Mr. Van Ackmel?
Would you like me to call the jail and inquire real quick?
Yes, because then if so, I think one way I can take care of this on paper is to then give him that good conduct time credit as well. But I don't know how I do that because he'd actually have 20 days of good conduct time, right? Almost 20,
Or 4 months, thereabouts, yeah.
right? It'd be 4 months, it'd be a little less than, so I'm really just questioning here what to do with the paperwork. The other, I don't want to call it a white elephant in the room, But the court has found the defendant guilty of contempt. And I can always add some jail for that, which I'm considering, because I've gotten tired of Mr. Johnson interrupting the court. Now, I could always reverse that finding of contempt. I know very much.
I am just about a lifelong resident of Ohio. I was born in Illinois, but I've grown up in Ohio, but I grew up in Cincinnati. We don't buy into the sports rivalry with Michigan in Cincinnati. We're our own little special corner of Ohio. We're not Buckeyes fans. Some of us are, but mostly we are Cincinnati Bearcat fans. Now we will still root for Ohio State, but not in the degree that Ohio State fans root for Ohio State. Ohio State fans are kind of what's a good word? What's a good political word? Obnoxious. They are. So we'll root for them during the Ohio State Michigan game, and that's about it. And when they go to a bowl game, that's about it. We don't want them to do poorly. We want them to beat Michigan, but we do not buy into that rivalry. All right. What do you mean this judge is a bit you don't know, Mike? All right, I'm going to let this play out. There's about 5 minutes left. So this will be my last call. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you haven't already, please like the video. We are going to be rating Biggin after this. If he's still live, I think he is. I'm not exactly sure, but I scheduled us to rate Biggin. Also, I am taking tomorrow off. I do have a video set to premiere. I don't know what time yet. It's going to be probably in between 11 and 12 p.m. a.m. Eastern. But I'm not going to be there. I'm taking tomorrow off, and I'm going to spend the day with Heather. We're going to have our little Thanksgiving tomorrow, so I'm not going to be around, but I'll have a video. I just won't be in chat. I might stop in and say hi, but that's it. All right. And I see all the Ohio people coming up. Colin, they're obnoxious. Yeah, Jay. I'm friends with some of them, and they're obnoxious. I don't know a lot of Michigan fans, so I don't know what the other side is like. So I don't know if it's equal. I don't know. But the Ohio State fans that I know, they're obnoxious, and they go way out of line. All right, so let's finish the video. Again, if you haven't done it already, like and subscribe. Do your Jump Kick Backflips. Link tree is down in the description if you would like to do it. Also, I've gotten a lot of messages from people that say they can't email me because my email is not in my About Me tab. It's there. But for some reason, when you're on a phone, it doesn't show up. If you're on a computer, it shows up. I don't know why. But I started just throwing my email in my description. If you want to reach out, there you go. All right. Go Badgers. Go Badgers. Oh, Wisconsin. Big Ten teams, Big Ten football. Yeah. All right. Let's finish this. Let's go.
Very well that there's a very strong language within the judges associations about using contempt power sparingly. And so I might calm down here. I'm sorry, not as emotional. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with somebody who keeps interrupting the court. Mr. Wiggins, any input? Because we kind of had a conundrum here that it's only
I
15
am
days.
as well.
I agree, Your Honor.
Typically, it's the jail that assesses the good conduct time and then adjusts the release time.
Off of the top of my head, it seems that he would have to at least check in order to
Get his
begin
good
start serving the sentence and then have the time
Yeah.
accumulated.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the jail is not going to have a record that he has, because then he would also, in theory, then would.
It's my thought as well. He has to turn himself in, and then an effect would be released within the hour of turning himself in. This is just a bit of a conundrum that I haven't dealt with. I think he has to turn himself in to be able to establish getting his good conduct time
I
credit.
think it's a formality that perhaps the change in the law did not address in any significant way. So we are kind of left to fend for
So,
ourselves.
yeah, all right, so here's what we're going to do. The court, again, continues with its sentence on the probation violation. The court sentences the defendant, as I've already stated, to 133 days. And the court grants 118 days of credit. The defendant must turn himself in to the Wexford County Sheriff Department today by 5 p.m. How he does that is not the concern of the court. The court continues probation as previously set by this court and preserves all fines and costs. While not a part of the sentence, the court reminds the defendant that apparently he may be in violation of his probation or delinquent in completing some terms or conditions of his probation. And he should contact his probation officer. If he has any questions, he should always contact the probation officer here in Wexford County and or his attorney here in Wexford County. Now, as to the contempt issue, the court is not going to sentence the defendant to any period of jail or any fines and costs. I will let the contempt finding stand, but I'm not going to add any penalty. It might seem to be a bit unnecessary, but the court will let the contempt finding stand because the court is in charge of the courtroom and must do all it can to respect the dignity of the courtroom. And that's the message being sent by the finding. But based upon all the information I've heard, I don't think I'm going to add any jail to the defendant's sentence. All right. Anything else, Mr. Van Ackle?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Wiggins?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Harrison?
No, Your Honor. Thank you for the accommodations you've expressed on behalf of my client.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes,
You
sir,
have the
Your
right.
Honor.
Thank you. You have the right to appeal the conviction and sentence in your case. That is typically done by filing a claim of right to appeal. However, based upon the plea in this case, any appeal must be done by filing an application for leave to appeal. If you choose to file an application for leave to appeal and you want the court to consider appointing an attorney for you, you must turn in a form that will be provided to you through your probation officer and request that within 42 days from today's date. Now, in effect, I understand that you probably won't actually serve any time in jail, but you must report to the Wexford County Jail today by 5 p.m. I anticipate that they will calculate your good conduct time credit. And if you have not lost any good conduct time credit, you should most likely be released again today. I'm acknowledging that this might be a bit of a inconvenience. I'm going to let that stand because I want the message to be sent to that inconvenience, I guess. One last go around. Anything else, Mr. Van Ackle? Anything else, Mr. Wiggins? And Mr. Harrison?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, if you do not have yourself turned in by 5 p.m. today, you could expect potentially a bench warrant to be issued. And you could also expect that would be a violation of court orders, which could itself be a probation violation. Thank you.